Where's the Jolly Bee? Where's the Jolly Bee? There's the Jolly Bee. There's the Jolly Bee. Dancing, having a good time. Inomako Kape, my own Buntag, Philippines. Anime, you're first. Aileen Cruz is in the house along with Filipina Raquel. Happy birthday. Nicole is here. Crystal's Adventure. It's always an exciting adventure with crystals. All right. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are located in the world. This is Dan at Dan and Minnie's Journey coming to you live from the basement studio in the heart of Bye Bye City Leyte. I'm pushing the button, pulling the levers, hoping that someone will show up. And so far we have 5 in the house. It's time to take roll call. When I call your name, please say present. Just kidding. I'm just kidding about that, folks. I'm acting so silly. It must be something in this coffee that I bought from the Metro Mart. There must be something in there. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for sharing it out. Knitban is here. All right, let me see if I can figure out how to kill this music. Larry Lee is in the house. That's a good thing, too, because I need Larry. All right, let's see what I can do for volume control. Oh, that's it. Nothing fancy here. There's nothing fancy here at Dan and Minnie's Journey. No fade out, no nothing. Just when it's time to get the show started, we just start talking. All right. So we're just talking about aiming higher. Some of you saw the thumbnail, and then you private messaged me like, what the heck? I know, but believe it or not, this is what was in front of me. This is what I was staring at when I went to go use the urinal at Prince Mall. That's what was there. It said to aim higher. Don't pee on the floor. And, it made perfectly good sense to me, so I aimed higher. Unfortunately, a little bit splashed me in the face, but that's another story. Des is in the house. How are you, Des? The party can start because Tim has arrived, and I agree. So if you feel froggy and you have something to say, all you have to do is just come my way. What? What did he just say? What are we in Dr. Seuss? Are we in Dr. Seuss book? Oh my gosh, I better take another sip of motivation. So, okay, here's something I wanted to say before we start. I always have some kind of commentary. So after last week's after last week's live stream, I get bombarded by not by the way, not from Filipinas, not from Filipinas. I get bombarded by people talking about the BRICS. What in the hell is this guy talking about? And so I'm like, brother, sister, if you don't know, you have to go to Google like everybody else, and you have to Google it. Go to Google like everybody else. But if you haven't noticed, the entire YouTube is on fire. It's on fire talking about the BRICS, talking about how the US is hitting the BRICS. And folks, if I wasn't clear enough in last week's live stream, I want to be as clear as I possibly can. Larice is in the house, the Philippines' most eligible bachelorette and social ladder climber, and a mighty fine person. Hi, Larice. What our day's coming. Larice. Keep your calendar open for the month of May, at least the second half. The second half of May is when I think Man Minnie and I are going to be making our pilgrimage, our annual pilgrimage to your area. And so we'll be coming north. Filipina Raquel, Daisy Lynn Castro, prepare to be entertained, or at least be prepared to take a trip to your local Jollibee. Compliments of Dan. Yeah, de-dollarization, Nitbad, but if I wasn't clear enough about how this thing is going to work, or how Dan, first of all, let me give the standard disclaimer, right? The standard disclaimer would be whatever Dan says on his channel, ignore. That would be the standard. That would be the standard disclaimer. Now, Larry's in the house. Larry knows that we can't take anything that Dan says seriously. Isn't that right, Larry?
That's a fact. Just like me, when I tell you let me tell you the truth, I'm going to lie to you.
No, lie to me, brother. That's why we have you on the show.
That's what I said. Whenever I say I'm going to tell you the truth, I'm going to lie to you.
All right.
So how's it going, Dan?
It's going okay, but as you can imagine, I got a few private messages. I got a few PMs talking about the United States hitting the BRICS. The BRICS, get it? And Guess what? I no sooner had the live stream turned to video. All of a sudden, 2 or 3 of my favorite bloggers started coinkadinkly. It was a coinkadink, started talking about the same thing. But you know what I find interesting? Every time I PM them, nobody ever responds back. Every time I PM them saying, "Hey, you want to talk about this on my live stream? You want to do a little interview action?" No one ever emails me back saying, "Yeah, I'm interested in talking about this subject." Folks, I'm not trying to panic people. I'm the polar opposite. Larry, be honest with me and don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. Did I send a clear enough message that I didn't believe this was going to be the big problem that everybody is saying it's going to be?
Yeah.
I hope I was clear enough. Folks, here's what's going to happen. Do you notice that amongst all this panic and concern, that the United States has remained largely silent on the issue? And some people have suggested, hey, I got my own problems to worry about. The United States is in debt. People are pulling their money out of the banks like crazy. Banks are failing. Schwab is in trouble, financial trouble. I don't mind because, see, I have my money in Fidelity. Sometimes it's better just to practice it, just to do the polar opposite of what everyone is doing. And the United States is being very, very quiet about the whole BRICS thing. And why is that? Larry, what's your best guess as to why the United States hasn't come out and publicly commented about the BRICS?
Personally, I think I'm beginning to wonder if that's not what they want, so they don't want to say anything.
Well,
Personally,
how about this? Nitban says Dan is wearing his economist hat. Yeah, I wear it every single day. I'm walking down the street. I try to listen. Let me back up. I want to tell you about a couple of nights ago. We had the young rocket scientists in the house. We were drinking beer, eating food, having a great time, getting Holy Week off to a nice Catholic start. And so what we were doing is we were throwing back 40 ounces. Yeah, we had Red Horse. I'm not gonna lie to you, Larry. We had Red Horse. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I drank some.
I would prefer the San Miguel painted label.
Well, of course, I have painted a label, and nobody was touching it because see, it's a trick. I know that people are going to drink the Red Horse, so I always get a 2-to-1 ratio of 2-to-1 2-to-1 on San Miguel, and one case of Red Horse, because we will run out of that, and then someone will have to make a run over to the beer distributor to get another case of Red Horse, and I won't be paying for it.
I got a question. Why don't they drink the painted label?
I do not know. I mean,
it was good beer. Well, it's been many years since I've been in the Philippines, but that was a beer that most of the sailors I knew preferred to drink.
Yeah, and I tell you, I like the painted label. That is some good tasting beer.
I always thought so.
Yeah. And I've had both. I could drink Red Horse. I mean, they're made by the same company, right? They're made by the same company in the same brewery.
It could be. I don't remember a Red Horse at all. I don't.
Someone said Red Horse is going to get you. Well, they say it's going to get you drunker a little bit faster. But is that really the objective, or is it the taste of the beer? I prefer the taste of the beer. Yeah. All right. So now let's go back. Let's go back and talk about this. Here's Dan's thought. By the way, Larry, you do know what I'm talking about. That people started posting videos online within hours after I did my live stream. All of a sudden, they get on there, and now it's all about the bricks. It's all about the bricks.
Well, I know Steve. Steve did a video on the
not Steve.
The demonetization of the dollar. He says he's not going to guarantee it happens, but he can see it happening.
Okay, so let me tell you. This is the world. This is the segment called "The World According to Dan," and so let me give you another idea about this. Okay. All the U.S. has to do, as many people know, the U.S. is rolling. First of all, they don't even know what BRICS is. They don't even know that Chinese and Russia are the two primary economic players in this game. But the BRICS has been around for the better part of 20 years. This is not a new revelation. They have been trading in their own currencies for years. So why doesn't everybody know this? Why doesn't everybody know? I know Leonard knows this because Leonard, he sent me a private message and he talked a little bit about this. And so I wish that Leonard were here to come up on the chat.
He just came in.
Oh, did he? Because Leonard knows about what happened in the 1990s. And I find it very, very interesting that the majority of the people that are spewing garbage on YouTube, because it's just for views, it's just to get people excited, let's see. That's what I think is going on. Nitban is saying there are many rich countries without having their currency being the reserve currency. Exactly. There are lots of rich countries. Wait. Let's get Leonard's coming up. I see Leonard in the green room. Leonard, good morning, my friend. All right,
how are you?
Talk a little bit. Leonard, I'm glad you're here. I'm going crazy already, and it's only 10 minutes into the live stream. Tell us what happened in the 1990s. Remind everybody what happened.
Well, I'm not sure what subject you're talking about.
I'm talking about the digital currency and the plan to wipe out debt. And
you're talking about NESARA.
Yeah, I'm talking about NESARA.
Yeah. Well, NESARA was supposedly a law passed through through Congress, and the last I heard on it was that Bill Clinton was supposed to have signed it. Now, it was never brought forth to the public, and it was supposed to have been passed through Congress on with just a few people there. It was, I can't remember what they call that, but it was just very few. It didn't have full House or Senate.
Probably
You
just a
know,
quorum.
I think that was what it was. Yeah, and at least sounds good. Um, and
Sometimes I sound smart.
yeah, yeah, surprise yourself, huh? But anyway, they the whole idea behind it was to eliminate poverty, and they were basically going to. They weren't going to take money away from the wealthy, but they were going to bring up the lower class people, and they were going to totally eliminate the existing government, have new elections within 6 months to replace all the House, all the Senate, president, vice president, cabinet, everybody. And the
Are you talking
beginning of
about
that,
the New World Order?
no, that was Reagan
No,
back in the
no.
80s.
No, but they realized that one of the ways to fix this problem, I believe economically, I'm not trying to put words in Leonard's mouth. I'm sure he was going to make this point, was to wipe the debt slate
Yeah,
clean.
all
In other
debts
words,
would be
everybody
all,
starts at
all
zero.
debt would be removed.
Right.
The IRS would be replaced by a
Flat tax,
well,
sales tax.
but it was going to be a reasonable one, like 10% or something, not
Right. A
the
VAT,
30% those idiots want.
a value-added tax.
Yeah,
Right.
and all people that made under a certain amount were going to be given $125,000, I think it is, tax
Yes.
free. I'm
Yes.
trying to remember the specifics.
But now we're talking. Well, Leonard. So, were you thinking about all this when they started started talking about giving everybody a livable wage? In other words, were government is experimenting all across the country and just giving random people an extra $5,000 or $1,000 a month, without strings attached? They're just saying, go out there and spend the money as you will.
Well, actually, no, I wasn't. But
Yeah.
another thing that they were doing is what made me think that it was actually starting was when they changed the color of our money,
Right.
because that was part of what they were going to do.
Okay, so
And
now do you
now we
see?
have multicolored bills.
Yeah, so do you see a connection between that, which took place in the 1990s, and what's happening now?
It could be leading up to it being announced, or
Okay.
it could be the wealthy who don't want to have us no longer subjected to their will.
No, I think it makes you more of a enslaved to their will. For example,
If you have more money, no, it doesn't.
yeah, oh yes, of course it does,
But-
because you're going to spend it buying junk that they
Well,
manufacture and they import.
The thing is, that may well happen or be true, but nobody's had guts enough to announce it. So,
Okay, so you set it up very nicely for me. I truly appreciate it.
well,
So
I
now
have my
everybody gets an idea of what has been talked about in the past. So the BRICS, the main objective here is to make it easier for transactions to go through, where they're using the blockchain, very, very similar to Bitcoin, which, by the way, takes an enormous amount
they're not
of
doing
computing
that.
power.
They're trying to convert everything to the Chinese yen.
Yeah, except for one thing, it won't work. Listen, you could create a digital dollar. You could create any kind of money that you want. The money is only worth, they're valuable in physical commodities, or it's only worth the value in which people trust the use of it. And that's a biggie. That is a biggie. And so if they don't trust it, they won't use it. And so these countries, they think that they're going to cut out the US dollar. They think that they're going to come and do damage to us. And quite frankly, in my mind's eye, we deserve being spanked. And the reason why we deserve to be spanked is because we monetize everything in the United States. We're a bunch of greedy bastards.
Yeah.
And so they're sick of it.
That's called capitalism.
Yes, they're sick of it. Well, no, that's called abuse of power. For example,
there's that too.
every time we have inflation, the people that hold those dollars have to service the debt. Every time the cost of living goes up, the people that have borrowed money from the International Monetary Fund or American banks or any coalition, the Federal Reserve, they have to service the debt. And so they're sick of it. They're sick of waking up one morning to find out that the money that they're holding has been devalued, the same way as it's going on in the Philippines. And so if you've watched Mr. Froggy's Wild Ride this week, here's the peso. Here's the Philippine peso. In other words, it is a freaking roller coaster ride. Capitalism is based on greed. Oh, well, okay. All is right in the world, Tim. So anyway, guys, check this out. The reason why the United States. So here's the part that I noticed that Steve missed and a lot of the other YouTubers missed. The one, of course, a lot of people got it too. A lot of people got it. I would say that the majority, let me restate it. The majority of YouTubers got this, but not Steve. All right. What they're creating is a digital yuan. Folks, physical money is not
yuan, it's yen.
It's yuan.
No, it's not.
It's yuan. It's a digital yuan.
Well, the Chinese currency is a yen, not a yuan.
Right. Well, it's called digital yuan. All right.
No,
so it's
I've
not yen.
I've heard of that one. So.
All right. It's digital yuan. They're not allowing money to leave the country. Why? Which one of you knows why they're not allowing actual physical money to leave the country?
Because they want to control it. They want you to spend your money in the country where it's at.
Yeah, because see, what will end up happening is that money will end up being invested in a high-rise condominium project in San Francisco.
Yep.
And that will break China, but it will benefit the United States.
Yeah.
Because
see,
remember,
this whole BRICS thing is being driven by China and Russia, all in an attempt to break U.S.
But what do China and Russia have in common, aside not liking the United States so much because they monetized the dollar? I mean, because they militarized it, because they weaponized it. In other words, aside from that, which is a big deal that they weaponize the dollar by imposing sanctions on a reserve currency where everybody needs to use the dollar to eat. You know, they put restrictions on it. All of a sudden, everybody starts going broke. They start confiscating the rich people's yachts. The United States loves it. People I'm talking about, we love it. We go, oh, they don't need a 120-foot yacht.
No,
I do. I think I'll bring it to the I'll bring it to the United States and I'll convert it into a hotel.
You want a small yacht like 120 foot? Come on.
That's
320.
I'm easy to please. I am not a greedy man.
Oh, I know. I'm greedy.
That's why you do well in the Philippines.
Yeah, so here, that's right. And so here's the thing. Here's what I'm thinking, right?
So those super yachts.
It's so
I just want the value of it.
It's declining population. They're taking their last gas of fresh air, literally, because they have nobody to buy anything. And the country, one of the only countries in the world, aside from India and a few others, that consumed like crazy, like there was no tomorrow, was who?
Besides us?
It was us, Larry.
Yep.
Exactly
Besides
right.
us?
It was not besides us. It was only us. We would
Yep.
take
That's what I'm
any
saying.
piece
That's
of
what I
plastic
was
crap
saying, Dan.
that the
Besides
Chinese
us,
would
nobody.
manufacture. We're going to buy it. We're going to buy it. Until all of a sudden, people in the United States say, we decided we're going to go green.
Yeah.
Yep.
What more do you need to know that we're about ready to be attacked by aliens?
Yep.
Oh, wait a minute.
No,
I apologize.
that's next week.
That's next
next
week's
week.
live stream.
I'm sorry, that's next month. This month is all going to be.
Oh, listen, I'm having way too much fun with this. No, folks, the answer to this is so simple. It's so simple that it's right there in front of us. And this is why the United States, when the United States when they were like this, I go, huh? Why isn't the United States fighting back? But they are.
Yep.
Who's that man behind the curtain?
Sure
It's it's the wizard. Who's that man behind the curtain?
Obama.
Let me see. Yeah, that's the wizard.
Yep.
And what is the wizard doing behind there? They're rolling out their own digital currency.
Well, I still don't think that's going to happen, but
it is. It's rolling out. It's rolling out within a few days.
I'm going to lie.
It's going to be on the blockchain, folks. Here's what they're going to do. I just want to get it out. I'm so excited about this. This is the world according to Dan. Don't ever listen to a thing he says, because then I will be considered a genius and a know-it-all, and we don't want that to happen.
No, we don't.
So here's what's going to happen.
Don't listen to him.
Yeah, do not listen to me, right? Here's the thing. But yeah, Tim's making a very solid statement. Nitban, you're saying things that are funny and true. Tim says, I save money to buy quality products. I don't want to replace items all the time. Exactly. That's really the way that's foundational stuff. Folks, if you really want to learn about life and how everything works, go over and read the book. Og Mandino has since passed away. Go read the book, The Greatest Salesman in the World. But it's not just a book about how to be a great salesman, a great salesperson, which it will teach you how to be, but it will have an impact on you so profoundly that it will change your life forever to the good. And whether you're in the Philippines or the US or anywhere around the world, go read that book. Og Mandino, the greatest salesperson in the world. And the day after I read that book, then you know what I'm talking about. You read that book, and the next thing I'm doing is I'm getting mind and body prepared for doing battle in this century, doing battle in the world that I currently live in.
Yeah.
So now, if you don't have time to read the book, go on YouTube and find the top 10 things Og Mandino says in the book. And Og Mandino put on a lot of seminars. It's going to be easy to find, I'm sure, on YouTube. All right, so now let's talk about what the United States has planned in my mind's eye. But don't listen to anything that I have to say. I don't want to be banned from YouTube. Nitban says, I grew up in a society where things were fixed and not working when not working, not to be dumped for a newer model. Yes. And we're buying a new iPhone every single year. Is the iPhone 27 out yet? I can't hardly wait to get out there to buy it.
They've only got to the 14.
Oh,
it's the Android that's at the 23.
Well, I'm going to tell you,
I see.
You're talking about things being thrown away. I lived next door to a neighbor whose brother was a cobbler. For those of you that don't know what a cobbler is, he's a person that repairs leather products like shoes.
Oh, for a moment there, I thought you were going to do a turkey joke.
But anyway, You can't find a cobbler anymore. You can't find a leather man.
No,
I
very,
also
very few
used to
and
go
far
to
That's
watch
because you
You
use
can't even find
super
a
glue
watch
to fix
repairman
shoes
anymore.
because they're made out of plastic.
Yeah,
But I'm just saying you can't even find a watch repairman anymore.
Right.
there
Well,
are a
you
few
can-
here, but not
You
many.
can in the Philippines.
They used to be everywhere, but
Yep.
You can in the Philippines. All right, so
You're
here's
right.
how they conquer this, right? So they go to the public and they say, Dan, we're going to clear the slate clean, but only if you accept the new digital currency. It's going to be called the digital dollar. So if you accept the digital dollar, all debts, because we're doing away with a physical dollar, all debts are forgiven. All debts. And we're going to clean we're cleaning the slate. We're wiping the slate clean, as they say. You don't owe anyone a dime.
But what happens if you're already out of debt?
Huh?
You know, like you're
Well,
out
it
of
sucks
debt.
to be you. It sucks to be
No,
you,
no,
Larry, that you spend all your time.
You're the one that's out of debt. I'm in debt. So what happens for you? You're out of debt.
Well, good I'm happy for you.
All
because
I
I'm
can
gonna
say
go out-
about that is I'm going to be a very happy man.
Yeah, I'm going to go out and I'm going to start
Oh,
Dan's
like I
Taco.
said, don't get me wrong. I'll be happy too. But I'm just
Then
saying.
they said we're going to do one more thing. And by the way, this is happening in the Philippines also. That's the relevancy of this. The exact same thing is happening in the Philippines right now. People don't know it because people don't spend 24 hours a day in front of the television set. But Dan does. I do it so you don't have to. So, but we're going to get into that in a moment. All right. So,
Hey, Des.
Des is such a
She
lovely
says she's still in
person.
the background preparing for
Yeah.
swimming later.
She's
Hey,
a
Sir
lovely
Luke, how you
person.
doing, sir?
They put on a nice spread for the kiddies in Caridad last week. It went great. Sir Luke is in the house. May the force be with you, Sir Luke. All right, so now what ends up happening is this. And plus, not only that, Dan, not only that, but we're going to give you $1,000, 1,000 digital dollars per month for you to spend any way that you choose. This is the grand experiment. Because we want you to spend, all we're asking you to do is one thing: spend that time with your family. Spend the time that you don't have to work with your family, and then you go and you go, man, this is pardon the pun, this is totally foreign to me. I've never had to live this way. I've been having to work 24, 40 hours, 60 hours a week in order to survive. 120 hours a week if you live in the Philippines. And so then you go, well, half of us have a heart attack, which is probably part of the plan because we can't believe it.
It's called population control.
Yeah. So we're like this. I can't believe it. My heart can't take it. My heart can't take it.
You're talking about trying to kill off half. When they first started Social Security, many people, and probably close to half or more, didn't live to the age of 62. That's why the age was picked at that age, because they figured, well, about half won't make it and half won't.
May they rest in peace, Larry.
Well, I'm just saying that's what they did. They looked at. That's why they're trying to raise the age now, because people are living longer. Well, they want to get it back up to. I bet you they want to get it 70 or later.
They want to get it to 70, and that's because that is in effect a cut to Social Security.
Yeah,
folks, I wasn't going to mention this.
Unfortunately, that's what they want.
Social Security. I woke up this morning and I have a pimple growing in the crack of my ass.
Aren't you proud?
So I was telling Man Minnie, I was saying you might have to get in there and lance that what looks like it looks kind of like an abscess.
If she has to lance it, that's not a pimple.
No, that's a boil.
No, it's an abscess. It's an abscess.
It's an abscess or a boil or cyst.
Yeah, so I'm sitting on cushions. Because
I've had a cyst, but never where you got yours at.
Yeah,
I'm uncomfortable, and because I'm uncomfortable, I'm going to be a pain in the ass today. All right, now.
Well, what's different about that?
Really?
Yeah, there's nothing really different about my behavior this week than last week. So now let's talk about this for a moment. So then everybody says, yeah, we want the digital dollar. All of a sudden, China's looking around and Russia's looking around going, how's this going to impact the BRICS? There's a reason why it's called a brick, folks.
You hit the wall.
There's a reason why it's called a brick.
Because it's going to fall.
Because it's going to fall and fracture.
Yep.
Because the next move, once they settle in with the general population and everybody accepts this new surveilled digital dollar, right? They're going to know, by the way, where you're spending your money.
Well, yeah,
that's a given. That's what GCash in the Philippines is all about. That's what PayPal is all about in the United States. You can't avoid them not seeing where you're sending the money. So, I mean, how many guesses do you need to know that Dan is now hanging around the Philippines a lot, because he sure sends out a lot of GCash and PayPal to his friends? Well,
Yes.
Let me ask you a question. GCash can only be downloaded to a phone that you have purchased and registered in the Philippines.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not available in the USA. It's for the Philippines. It's for training. Get used to digital cash. So now, how do we completely not destroy, but completely cause a meltdown of the BRICS? Stay with me. And I caution you, do not listen to anything or take to heart anything that Dan has to say here on his channel. We're just talking here. It's only the world according to Dan. It's Dan's opinion. Sir Luke, I should send you money for that name, Dan's World. Okay, so now, yeah, it's brilliant. So, but it cuts Minnie out of the equation. You know, that's the problem, right? So now, here's the whole thing. All you have to do is go to the BRICS countries that have borrowed money that owe us tons of money, that are servicing tons of debt, and then you say to them, if you join our digital currency coalition, we will forgive all of your debt. And they go, I'm out of here. I'm out of here, Russia. I'm out of here, China. See you guys the hell later. And then the whole coalition falls apart because they don't want to have to service the debt, because it's a boon to their country's economy. And the next thing that happens is the United States is in charge again with the #1 digital currency in the world called the digital dollar. And so if you're missing this, out there, you YouTubers, there is something the hell wrong with you.
Yeah. Well, I believe that they're going to try to do it, and if not do it, because it makes sense. And for me to say that with the government, that it makes sense, kind of like an oxymoron.
That's for sure.
And for those
that's funny, Larry.
That may not know what the term oxymoron means.
You're
means
killing me.
Something you say that doesn't make sense. They don't go together. Federal government and common sense does not go together. So it's considered an oxymoron. Some people say military intelligence is an oxymoron.
That's for sure,
too. But I personally don't think military intelligence is an oxymoron, but government common sense is. But I said, somebody somewhere had to convince them that, hey, look, this is what's happening to us. Here's a way of reversing it. And
reversing it, we don't have to reverse it because it
No. I'm talking about
it isn't really gaining any momentum. The BRICS is not gaining. See, Japan and all these countries, they say, yeah, we want to be a part of it. And then all of a sudden, the U.S. says, well, yeah, you can go be a part of it. But, don't you need us for military protection? Don't you need our money? Don't you need our population? Don't you need our tourism? Don't you need our technology? And they say, oh, yeah, we weren't thinking this whole thing through very clearly. All this stuff happens in the background. It doesn't happen in front of public view. It happens behind the curtain. And so they go, oh, yeah, that makes sense. And so
I was a little surprised that Brazil was jumped on board with them.
Right. Well, here's the magic in that. Brazil has already been settling its transactions with China using their currency. It's been
Using the
going
yen?
using their currency. You know, the yen is Japanese, isn't it? Hey, I'm not sure. I don't keep up with the currencies. I'm not a member of the
You know, I
Forex.
might be confused. You might be right.
I'm
So,
trying to
Anyhow.
think. The YEN, I think, is the US.
no, Nipan, I'm going to check it out. I'm gonna check out.
Yeah,
You know, you got
I
to
didn't. I should have.
pay attention to what Nitban is saying, because he'll subtly. He's a how do I describe Nitban? You know, it's hard to describe him. You
Filipino
know,
Raquel. No, Mini Snow is a
Oh, Ralph,
he's
different
a
person
Nitban's a
that comes in.
genius, but he's
So
very subtle in
she's
the
not Dad's
presentation of
wife.
information.
I've
She just
watched
has
some of
to have the
Rafa
same
Tufo
first
stuff.
name.
I'm sorry, I missed the whole thing. We were talking over each other.
She asked Filipino Raquel asked if Mini Snow's your wife.
Minnie Snow?
Yeah.
Oh
a
no,
Mini Snow.
that's I believe that's a different
That's what
mini.
That's what I was telling her. It was
Yeah,
different mini.
that's a different mini. That's
She's
not
in-
one of Minnie's ninja names. Hey, by the way, did you guys go and did you see the short video that we posted where I was making fun of the you know people are posting the little toy that comes from China or Japan. Oh, there's
the
Oh,
one you
yeah.
just put up your most recent.
where
With
they
Minnie-
put
with
candy or
Minnie
money
being-
in the
with
front
being
of
the
the mouth.
alligator.
And you play with the teeth, and
You
it
play with the teeth.
shuts on you. Yeah.
So I was Minnie and I were headed for bye-bye, and I was laughing. I was saying, I just came up with a brilliant idea. I'm going to share it with you if you're game. At first, man, Minnie was like, "Are you nuts? You're not putting anything in my mouth. You're not putting one of your digits in my mouth." And we talked about that for a few minutes.
I see she gave in.
She gave in, and then
Yeah.
she said that isn't going to get any views. And then all of a sudden, right in the first hour, it gets something like 700 views in the first hour. And YouTube sends me a message saying, "Hey, why is your video going viral? It's not anything weird or out of the ordinary." They're inquiring if I have something set up, you know, some kind of a computer generated thing. They were kind of suggesting that we have a curiosity as to why you're getting 100 hits a minute or whatever it was getting, right? And so I sent them back. I said, no, this is nothing is going on here. And so they said, well, we're going to review the last 100 or 200 hits that you're getting. And they took them away. They took away like we were approaching something like 900 or 1,000. And then they shut me down just like that. They shut me down.
That sucks.
It really does, because I wanted to show Man Mini how easy it is to get 1.2, 1.3K views by just using your imagination and by paying attention to what everybody else is doing.
Right.
You see what everybody else is doing. You can make.
It was a parody.
Yeah, it was a parody. I
Yeah.
explained that to him. I said it was a parody on the frog thing. You know, the alligator.
The frog, the alligator, the dog.
Yeah, where you have to put your finger in their mouth.
Yeah.
This is so funny, right? It's hilarious. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right, so
they're
getting
taking
back.
your money away.
Yeah, so the reason why, the main reason why Saudi Arabia and Russia and India and all the rest and Japan is considering, the reason why they're all bailing, right, is because the United States went to them and said, "Hey, we want to be green by 2035." And they looked at them like, "We sell oil for a living." And we do it with US dollars. And so their biggest fear, try and find this out on YouTube channel. Try and see who talks like this. So what they did was they said, they gathered, the BRICS gathered, and they said, what if one day the United States decides that they don't like us buying and selling oil, and we're using the US currency as a reserve currency, trading and settling our debt? What happens if all of a sudden the United States decides to weaponize us? to weaponize the dollar against us. They say no, you can no longer settle oil transactions, or you can no longer buy and sell oil because we don't like it. We want you to be green. And then that's the reason why. See, that's one of the main reasons they're kind of going, we need oil, we need natural gas, we need this stuff for our economies. And we're not so thrilled with the idea of going all electric and solar. We're okay with selling you solar panels. We're okay with selling you electric cars, but we're not so cool with you putting the kibosh on our oil business. And so the Saudis bail. Biden, we are no longer your friend because you told us that you don't want to buy our oil anymore. But truth be told, the U.S. doesn't need Saudi oil. We've got our own.
Right.
We
The
don't
biggest
need.
problem with the only reason we are not totally energy independent as far as oil goes is during COVID, the big oil companies shut down a whole bunch of refineries. They have not reopened them. They cry about not wanting new leases and everything. They've got over 6,000 leases that they won't drill on, but they don't have refinery capacity because all these refineries are closed down for any more oil than they got.
Well, of course, that's how they make money. They're not going to open up any new refineries except in China. As you know, for obvious reasons, Leonard.
Yep.
So yes, all that for what you said, I believe, and so they won't put in new refineries in the United States when everybody's talking about going green.
Well,
But
they
guess
don't
what
have
they
to
will
put in
do?
new ones. They just need to open
So-
the ones they've got.
Well, they
Folks,
need some of them need reworked, need some work to them.
and they're not going to
Well,
do
they
it
were-
because
They
They're
were
not
all
gonna make
being
them
run
more
at
efficient.
capacity before COVID hit.
they
Yeah,
don't
so
want to make them
whatever-
more efficient.
Whatever they need is very little. I got
Yeah.
Well, I missed it.
Right. So Tim is saying OPEC is thinking about all sales will be done in the currency other than the dollar, and I just explained why they want to do it that way, because they don't want the United States to weaponize. Hey, is that water? What's in there? What's in there, Leonard?
It's water.
Ah,
I
good
got to
for
take
you.
this call. I'll be back.
All right. They don't want to be the victim of weaponization. In other words, they don't want the U.S. to weaponize the dollar the way that they weaponize it against Russia. And so that is what accelerated the forming of the idea that BRICS would create its own digital currency. All right, so I'm gonna tell you how this relates to the Philippines and all my Filipino friends in a second. But let's talk about something. Let's talk about how all of a sudden Elon Musk comes out and he says on Twitter, wherever he said it, he says, but Ida owns a large part of the lithium mines in Africa and they will sell more electric vehicles. Yes, I was just Nitban. Are you reading my mind? How did you know that I was getting ready to talk about this? Nitban, you must be reading my mind. Right.
I'm going to say, can I say one thing about China though with the green part?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They burn more coal than any other country in the world. So that's one of the reasons they want to keep burning their coal because it's cheap for them.
Well, that's no lie. So let's talk about electric cars. Nitban, thank you. All of a sudden, Elon Musk gets on Twitter and he says, I've been pondering this. I've been pondering. And since I'm a genius, I have pondered myself into thinking that building 7,000-pound trucks that transports goods is not such a great idea when what I should be doing is coming up with a $20,000 electric vehicle. Larry, what happened here? Nitban, what happened here? Tim, what happened here all of a sudden? What happened here all of a sudden? Talk to me. What do you think happened?
Look, you're talking about the cheaper vehicle?
Yeah, I'm talking about all of a sudden he said,
Cost
I
of
think
batteries are going up.
he's saying, I think that building a 7,000-pound truck is not such a great idea. An electric vehicle that transports goods, right? I'm waiting for you, Knitband, because I know you know the answer to this. Instead, I should be concentrating on building a $20,000 electric vehicle that the masses can afford to buy.
Well, let's be honest about it. For one
I am
reason,
waiting
he's
for
going to
your
make
answer, bro. Help me out
he'll
here.
make more money off the $20,000 vehicle than he will off those semis, because a lot of people aren't going to want to buy that semi because of the cost, for one thing.
Okay, so now,
and then also, how long will it take to charge it, and how long can they run the truck?
Larry, remember I was telling you, I started the story off by telling you that I was drinking beer. I was drinking beer with some of the smartest people in the world were in my backyard. Yes, a couple nights ago, we're drinking beer. We have Davis graduates in the house. We have graduates from University of the Philippines at Manila in the house. We had graduates here from University of Visayas in the house. These are chemists, engineers, rocket scientists who are drinking beer with the Danster, wanting to hear what Dan has to say.
Well, they really lowered their standard, didn't they?
That was quick. That was quick. I'll give you credit for that. Okay, so Knitband says railway. Well, yes, this may very well factor into the equation, Knitband. This may very well factor in the equation, but stay with me, folks. Stay with me, and I'm going to give you the answer. Yes, Tim says, give me a gas-guzzling muscle car any day of the week, and I am with you, brother. I am with you. But now check this out. Suppose suppose that you're Elon Musk, and you're sitting there, and you're pondering, and Larry says, yeah, I probably can make more money if I can come up with a $20,000 car that the masses would be interested in buying. What he's really doing is he's demonstrating that the future of electric vehicles is in a cheap electric car that China has already figured out how to produce. And so I have heard no one anywhere on YouTube say, we're going to tell China to stuff it by telling them they can just eat their cheap electric car. Nobody is saying that, not even the US government. So if we're being threatened by digital currency from China, why aren't we telling them to stuff their lithium up their ass? Why aren't we telling them that you can take your electric car and shove it where the sun don't shine? No, we're not telling them that. What we're doing is telling them, come over here to the United States, and we're going to convert all the gas dealerships over to electric car dealerships for the marketing of the Chinese car. What the hell is going on here? Are they creating a crisis that doesn't exist? Are they trying to tell us? Are they trying to scare us into believing something?
Yep.
They sure are. Yep. They sure are. Yes, I mean a railway. Yes, Knitband. Listen, Knitband, I'm gonna come full circle. I have not forgotten about this. Knitband says, I mean railway for the transportation of goods. Yes, Knitband. Why? Why won't we need trucks? Because there's not going to be any transportation of goods on trucks. There's not. And the reason is because there are going to be no more goods. They're not going to be transporting food to the masses. Folks, put the puzzle together. Use your critical thinking skills and put it together. But I'm not angry at you because you didn't put it together. Because Dan did the work for you. All you have to do is not listen to Dan, and Dan will share the reasons why. All of a sudden, he reverses course and decides that we're going to close down the truck manufacturing facility and convert it over to a facility that can manufacture $20,000 electric cars to compete to compete with China, who will be stuffing us with electric vehicles almost overnight. By the way,
Well,
for which
Ford and Chevy are both making very inexpensive electric cars.
well,
I
Bill
think they're
Gates,
30,000, but
yes, except for one thing. Bill Gates and Warren Buffett have tons of money invested in China for the production of a cheap electric vehicle. And so,
well,
would you call those two investor geniuses
No,
traitors
I call them traders.
yeah,
for
if that's what
investing
they're
all
doing.
their money? Okay, so now
If that's what they're
people
doing,
could,
yeah.
yeah, so you could say, Google it.
I,
You'll find the answer. Ford and Chevy are way behind China, and Nitban is absolutely correct. They are so far behind China. They're on the caboose end of this story.
Well, yeah, they are because they've only started about a year ago
Right. And
on the electric
Toyota
cars. So
is sitting there. Another country who talked about becoming a member of the BRICS, China, right? Who's dying. Their country is dying. They're aging out quicker than just about any country in the world, and they're saying,
you're talking about Japan?
I'm sorry, Japan. I meant Japan. Okay. Thank you so much. I almost inserted a foot. Japan, who's aging out quicker than any country of the world, is saying, "Oh, we should consider becoming part of the BRICS." Not. There's no way. But yet Toyota, right? Toyota all of a sudden says, and rightly so, by the way, how in the hell did we skip over the hybrid car? So they try.
No, Toyota had a hybrid car for a while.
Well, yeah, they say isn't the natural progression of things to hybrid cars, and so all of a sudden they announced to the world that we're going to stuff down your throat hybrid electric cars. And why? Because it solves a whole bunch of problems. As you're driving down the street, yeah, they're recharging their own batteries. They don't have to have as many batteries. The cars are light on their feet. They have the range that everybody needs in the USA, or the perception that they need a car that can go 600, 800, or 1,000 miles, even though it is not true. All I have to do is whip in there, and even though gasoline will be very expensive by the time we get there, China knows that it's only going to cost you $10 or $12 or $15 in order to go another 1,000 miles down the road. What happened? All of a sudden, China says, we want to be a member of the BRICS. Do you see what's going on here, folks?
But I agree with Japan, though. The hybrid is the way to go. I wouldn't want a fully electric. The batteries are very cost prohibitive right now. So if you got a hybrid, if your batteries go bad, you can still drive the car for a while you get the battery in. You finance it.
What if Nitban is saying we are benefiting from capitalism? We must accept the competition and do better. But Nitban, have you ever thought about that? Jack is in the house. Hey, have you ever thought about how the world has already been divided up into digestible bites? And so, steel manufacturers over here, car manufacturing is over there, electric cars being made here. I mean, in this gravitation towards a global economy, the accepting of a global economy, when you have to do it that way so you can control the distribution of labor, the distribution of wealth, the distribution of, the use of lithium and things like that.
Now, Dan, have you heard of the economist from I want to say it was 1800s, might have been farther back, but I want to say 1800s, Adam Smith. You ever hear of him?
Educate me.
All right, Adam Smith was the perpetuator of the invisible hand economy. He theorized that if left to the devices, let's say the four of us make similar products. but you have to make tables better than I do. I make chairs better than you. And I said four, let's say three. And Leonard makes the best couches. And we all doing all three of these things. But now we find out, well, look, if I concentrate on chairs only and put them out, I can make more money than trying to do all three. You say, hey, look, I'm better at tables if I just do tables, but it's an invisible hand. We do it because it benefits us, and we find where we're best suited at doing it. I'm being really poor on explaining it, but he was saying the countries will be the same way. If one country is better at producing food, they'll produce the food. If one country is better at producing, well, like I said, furniture, they'll produce furniture. If one country's better at cars, they'll do cars. Of course, back then they didn't have cars, but you see what I'm saying. That eventually the economist or the business person in each of us will figure out, hey, I'm better at this, so this is what I'm going to do. And one country's going to say, hey, look, we're better at this, so as a country, this is what we're going to do. Right now, we probably are the best food producers in the world. All right?
Is it no surprise that Bill Gates is buying up all the farmland?
I don't trust that person half as far as I can throw the state of Iowa. Don't trust
Hey,
it at all, in other words.
I'm sorry for interrupting. Reese, if you're still around, I gave you the blue jacket.
And but I'm just saying though, Adam Smith proposed that, I want to say back in the 1700s, that if left to our own devices, we would eventually figure out, hey, we're better off doing this, you're better off doing that. And there'd be some overlap because somebody in each country is going to be pretty good at something, and they'll still do it. But
so
overall,
for all these people, let me wrap this part of it up, so we can get on to how this impacts the Philippines. But for all the people that are talking on YouTube, especially the vloggers that are talking to expats, right? Where they're saying big changes are coming, prepare to get your ass handed to you. All this different stuff that I've been hearing.
I was really, really disappointed with Steve.
Finally.
Really disappointed with Steve.
Absolutely. You should have been. I was horrified. I made a comment. I made a comment in there. I could have gone on forever like I am now, but I just made a very simple comment, and I basically was sending the signal that this won't happen, and that you need to go deeper if you're going to try and frighten people by telling them big changes are coming when they're not.
Yep.
All right. So you need to give them the whole story, not just part of it.
Yeah.
Nitban says the question is what is going to take the place of petroleum in the green future? They would be used politically to twist hands. Nothing. See, that's the whole thing, Nitban. We're always going to be using petroleum.
There'll always be some use of it.
Yeah, the petroleum is like it's like have you ever heard geologists say, how come oil isn't finite? And now there are a couple of very interesting hypotheses that are coming out that are basically saying that the Earth is like a Tootsie Pop. It has a chewy, chocolatey center, and things go on atomically in the center of this Tootsie Pop that creates the byproduct, which is oil. I realize how strange of an idea this is, and I'm certainly not saying that I believe it. But what if oil were finite? We're infinite, and not finite. Then they would have to create supply and demand if it were finite, infinite. And that supply and demand would be gauged upon how much oil they can extract from the ground. And they can manipulate use and price by how much oil comes out of the ground. And so, Nitban, I ask you, whenever they want to raise the price of a barrel of oil, what do? They
cut back on production.
They cut back on production. And so is oil going away? No. Is this planet headed for extinction? Yes. Yes, it is. When will it happen? Nobody knows.
Not in my
And
lifetime.
yeah, can
No,
you stop it? No.
No.
No, you can't.
And
And
by the
so,
way, Dan,
yeah.
Philippine Raquel said she has a fever today, and that's why
Oh,
she's just in the
well, get
background. Not
well soon,
interacting.
Phil or
well,
Raquel.
we hope you get better real soon. We know you just celebrated a birthday. Happy birthday to you, Filipina Raquel.
Oh, that's true.
I
Happy
truly
birthday.
appreciate you being here in the stream, and I'll be PMing you soon within the next couple of days. So there is not really a green future, so to speak, you know, because you think that India is going to stand by and say that they want to switch over from the use of natural gas to electric. Do you think that? I mean, look at the Philippines. The Philippines mostly they have geothermal plants and the like, you know, because it makes sense in certain areas because of volcanic activity.
I think in Valencia, isn't that what they have there in Dumaguete, Valencia?
To mine, yeah, and basically electricity is free.
Well, they
So
pump. I guess a lot of it goes underneath the ocean over to Cebu area, from what I understand.
Tim, petroleum is a component to make plastic. How will they build cheap plastic items? Tim, the United States will not be needing any more plastic gadgets, like unless they're adult toys.
Those
But we're not.
rubber.
Yeah, we're
Those are
certainly
gonna
not
be-
going to. Yeah, we're certainly not going to need spatulas for flipping our eggs because we're not going to. We don't cook. All we're going to do is going to get on our app, on our digital app, and we're going to be ordering from the fast food warehouse. The fast food warehouse will be 100,000 square feet, and inside there will be a kitchen, and the kitchen will house every fast food franchise known to man. And from that kitchen, you will be ordering your food because you see, that's how they plan on controlling population. So this is the reason why Elon Musk realized that he will not be needing 7,000-pound cars. And why is, let me ask you guys a question. Why do you think China is building one of the longest, most sophisticated railroad routes from Clark Air Force Base to Manila? Why do you think they're pouring all those billions of dollars? China, from Clark Air Force Base to Manila. Folks, something strange, something awfully strange is going on here.
Well, they're trying to buy the Philippines from being allies with us.
Is that really what's going on, or is the United States as not as much an enemy of China and Russia as we've been made to?
I think it's both.
Yeah, I agree with Larry. I think there's
it's
a little both to it. Yeah.
It's kind of like having an older brother or younger or older sister, right? And you guys are fighting it out for the love and
Until
affection
somebody else
of your
comes
parents.
involved.
Yeah, here you
Yeah.
are. You know, mom loves me best. Dad loves me best. And so finally, you get so frustrated that you start duking it out in the backyard. You start punching each other, right? Boo,
Did that
boo,
with my
boo, boo.
brother. What time was
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
It wasn't over who liked who best.
But they are your sibling, and so blood is thicker than water.
Well,
Blood is thicker than water.
and
Yep.
police
You'll fight
force
each
will
other,
tell
but
you-
don't let anybody else mess with you.
But
That's
like I
right.
said, a
You'll
police
fight each
officer will
other,
tell you-
but you won't let anybody else mess with you or your family.
But like I said, a police officer will tell you the most dangerous situation to respond to is domestic dispute.
Right.
Yeah,
Because you
right.
go in to break it up, and the one that's getting beat up may turn around and jump you because you're arresting their abuser.
A fact. That's kind of what I see going on here. So what's going on? Let's talk about what's going on in the Philippines. So I had said, and maybe I didn't articulate it. I very rarely articulate it as well as I'd like, and the main reason is because my thoughts are going a mile a minute, especially after I've had 2 cups of coffee. So I know what I'm thinking, but hey, forgive me for being an old man, and forgive me for for the thoughts just going through my brain at this
Warp
fast when I
speed.
get going.
Warp speed.
But so let me tell you how it affects the Philippines. The Philippines economy did not grow up the same way that the U.S. economy, and so neither. I mean, it is a melting pot. That's for sure. So we definitely have similarities in the cultural aspect of things. As far as the economy goes, we're not in the same place here in the Philippines as they are in the USA. And the main reason is because we have a younger population. And
Right.
so this younger population is encroaching on that level of consumerism that is going to grow their economy in a big way. So if there's going to be plastic spatulas manufactured, Tim, they're going to be purchased by Filipinos and not by Americans. So that means that there's a housing shortage that's about to happen here in the Philippines for a whole bunch of different reasons. The main one is it's simple supply and demand. There are not enough houses to go around for the emerging middle class, the emerging lower middle class, or the emerging lower class. I mean, what's happening is that people are elevating themselves because more jobs are becoming available. And basically, the reason why the military is in my opinion, aside from China and Taiwan, which people on its face would say are the biggest reasons, that perhaps they are, this is an economic opportunity for the Philippines not to have to experience whatever economic undulations are occurring in the rest of the world. And so, quite frankly, yes, there'll be pain and suffering. Wherever the US dollar is, so is their pain and suffering. And because the Philippine peso is married with children to the dollar, there's going to be a little bit of pain and suffering, which means they'll experience a period of economic inflation. However, it's not going to have the impact that it would in the United States. The United States is going to be going through very, very painful changes, and the Philippines will not be.
So you telling me that's another reason to move to the Philippines?
I'm kind of
Sounds
saying
like it
that,
to me.
yes. Yeah, I'm saying this, yes.
Dan,
And so
you're
have you
just
heard-
you're just reconvincing me.
yeah, and so if you look at some of these expats, they've hit the nail on the head. And Steve is one of them that has too, right? Basically he's saying, he's letting people know people are flocking to the Philippines. They're not walking, they are running as fast as their little feet can carry them.
I think
So
a
that's
lot of
part.
I think a lot of expats. I can't remember who it was talking about. It might have been Steve. Might have been what is that guy? The guy world blogger, a recent blogger out of New Maggette, world something. But anyway, one of them I think was talking about they believe there's going to be an increase, not a decrease, in expats. Because of the economic, they're going to look and say, "Hey, look, they might have stayed here, but there's like the cost is going to go up. It's going to like, oh, I can go over there and do better now, whereas before they might have stayed here." It's taking the people that would be comfortable in the States, not rich, but like, all right, I can stay here, I can live here, I got my house, I got my rent and my travel money, and I can be fairly comfortable. Maybe they own their house. But now it's going to be, well, with the inflation, it's going to eat into what they have to spend. And
Right.
so he said they're going to be looking at, he thinks there are going to be more people looking to be expats, whether it's to
Definitely. And
or-
so, but the U.S. has a plan for putting the kibosh on that. They'll control. See, once we move to digital currency, then they'll say, okay, you want to live in a foreign country, and you want to spend your money over there, and so we're going to help ourselves to the foreign residency discount. So now Nipan is saying, what about Taiwan and the chip industry? The U.S. has passed a 50 billion USD bill and also irritates China. The latest by having the Taiwanese president in California, none other by McCarthy. So, Nipan, you know me so well. You know me so well. So why would China on in public view continue to maintain their rhetoric? You know that when in fact they're buying the chips as well that Taiwan is producing through the side door, and everybody knows it. And so why would they? You know, what's their motivation for continuing to say what they're saying about Taiwan and the islands around the Philippines being Chinese territory? And then at the same time, they're spending their money in Taiwan, buying the same chips that the U.S. is using out of the same factory. So that's my question for you. And also, Tim, there are not enough companies in the Philippines that actually pay a good livable wage, but either one or two things or both will happen. And that is that because the Philippines has young population of educated people, they will either be doing one of two things. They will either start building the factories, which may be one reason that the Chinese are building that railroad or helping to fund it. Not only a little bit of it, the majority of the financing for that railroad is coming from Clark to Manila. And so you have to wonder what's going to be there's a lot of empty space in between Clark Air Force Base and Manila. Why do you not think for a moment that munitions will be traveling along that railroad from Manila, the ports of Subic Bay or Manila, to Clark Air Force Base? This is so weird. So why would the Chinese all be funding a railway system that will eventually be used again, or could potentially be used against them? I mean, this whole thing, folks, all I'm presenting is ideas here, an opinion that I'm just pointing out that some things just plain don't make any sense unless the main objective was to make money. And so, Tim, to finish this thought, they will either export the labor to factories that already exist in China, import the labor, or they will start building factories here, or they'll be doing both.
I think a lot of we had our factories, there was factories moved to China. If we really get mad or upset or whatever, we could move those to the Philippines.
Michelle is in the house.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming, Michelle.
Hello, Michelle. How are you?
Larice is staying with us. Hi, Larice.
Yes, Larice, how are you?
Moelma is hanging in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the Philippines, because they are married to the dollar, the Philippines has announced, and you can go research this, central bank. The central bank is going to be on the digital currency bandwagon. And so when little things start happening, this is what I was talking about with the geniuses that were here. And no, listen, I'm not saying geniuses in a derogatory way. They really are geniuses. And so the brainiacs that were here the other night realized that observation is the key to what's going on in the Philippines. You have to observe, and then you have to critically think about why is it that all of a sudden GCash shows up out of nowhere and everybody jumps on board using it? Why is it that QR coding becomes so popular in Thailand that everybody starts using it to pay for their meals and to buy goods and services?
I thought I heard Manny. How you doing, Manny?
Here she
Hey,
is.
Manny, how are you?
Hi, everyone.
Here she is making
Good
sure that
morning.
Dan does not code out in the middle of the broadcast. Thank you so much, honey, for making sure that I'm lit up like a Christmas tree. During
All right.
All right, so that's Nipan said, yes, I agree. China knows that if they invade Taiwan, those factors would be, yeah, that's right. They would be nuked. The intellectual property are easy to copy anyway without a war. That is exactly true. They back engineer everything. Thank God that they do, because as long as they keep doing that, it'll bring down the costs for the rest of us, for things like iPhone and everything else. Listen,
Yes.
I don't view the world, and I try not to deliberately view it the way that the masses view it. What I start thinking about is, I just asked myself a very simple question. I was explaining this to the rocket scientists in the room over the weekend. I was saying that, hey, I go, you have to observe when things occur, and I gave them an example that everybody knows about, because they're visiting. They're in here for Easter, visiting their families before they return back to the universities. And I said, for example, I gave them a great one. I said, you guys know the street that where the Palermo Hotel is on? And they said, yes. They go, okay. Have you noticed that they widened it? They widened the street to make it more comfortable for you to walk on it? And they go, yes. Did you happen to notice they put storm drains underneath it that are very, very much like U.S. infrastructure? Yes. So I get no denials. Everybody has observed this, okay? Well, why did they do that? And I get this answer from one of them. They say, Dan, everybody knows that floods over there. Okay, why would they not want it to flood anymore over there? Because it's a pain in the ass. Really?
Well,
I go,
it's expensive cleanup too.
You're a rocket scientist, and that's the only answer that you have for me? Is that because, listen, it's because a huge government building is going to emerge on one of those lots. It's because a huge mall, a huge hotel, a huge factory is going to be built here.
Hey, I may have to move to bye-bye.
That's the reason why they're widening the streets and they're putting in Western infrastructure. It is not simply because they don't want it to flood. It's because they're going to build a factory here. Get a grip. Get a grip, folks.
Dan, it is because they don't want it to flood. But the reason why they don't want it to flood...
It was not the number one reason. They didn't want it to flood because they were building a factory on the land.
That's what I said. So they don't want it to flood, but that's the reason they don't want it to flood.
Right. Yeah. Now I explain. Yes, of course. Of course. I'm being a lot dramatic. But I go to Minnie and I said, Minnie, what is the value? What is the value of observation? How do you get rich? How do you get rich through observing? And she looks at me and she goes, let me think. She goes, I can't remember exactly what her words were. I said, but you can't. The whole point of my conversation with her was, if you want to become even more rich, richer than you are now, if you want to become super rich, then you do that through observation. And I go, so now I've pointed out to you that the government has come in here and they put down fiber optic cable and they put modern electrical wiring in. They came and they put a storm drain so they could evacuate the water. They put wide sidewalks in. What's coming next? She goes, well, probably McDonald's. Yes. Okay, did you see the lot that was for sale next door to where the improvements were made? Did you happen to notice the lot for sale? A huge sign. It says, this lot is for sale. Cheap. Did you happen to notice the sign? And she goes, well, no. I said, so there's the lesson. The lesson is in observation. I go, because I noticed the sign, I go, if you want to become wealthy beyond your imagination, you go and you buy that lot. And then one day there's going to be a knock on the door. Hello. And in comes a young lady in a business suit carrying a briefcase. Is
Full of
Ma'am
money.
Minnie, is this where Ma'am Minnie lives? I said, as a matter of fact, it is. Well, I would like to come in and have a discussion with her. It's about the lot that she owns over there next to the Palermo Hotel. And then I invite her in and said, would you like a cup of tea or coffee? And I make her feel as comfortable as I possibly can. And then Ma'am Minnie comes over, and before Ma'am Minnie even sits down, she opens the briefcase, and in there are stacks of cash.
That's what I said. A briefcase full of money.
A suitcase
Yep.
full of money. And then she says, I've been contracted or tasked with with buying your land over there, where they did all the improvements on the street next to the Palermo Hotel. And Ma'am Minnie sits there and she says, I'm interested in selling, but I don't think there's enough cash in your briefcase in order to buy that property. And so they go away. And a couple
Come
weeks
back with two
later,
briefcases.
there's a knock on the door, and it's the same woman. Yes, exactly. This time she's carrying two briefcases, and they're both full of money. And then I say, now you have to take this seriously, Ma'am Minnie, because this is a negotiation. And all you're working out now is how much money they're going to be paying for that land. Okay, now I want to add. Now, is Dan wrong? Is Dan wrong, Larry? Is Dan wrong, Leonard?
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, because I'll tell you what happens, right? Coinkydink. It's a coinkydink. So coincidentally, I happen to be at the Dunkin' Donuts having my usual cup of coffee, and Ma'am Minnie has gone off to Prince Mall to do some shopping. She needs to go and buy some Chinese-made plastic spatulas, for which we have a whole drawer full of, but somebody convinces her we need more. So she's going and doing that, enriching the Chinese manufacturers. And then all of a sudden, a young couple sits down, or it's a young Filipina with an older gentleman about my age. They introduce themselves, start asking
Where
where.
you saw me?
Yeah, they come asking me where I'm from, and we're doing the pleasantries. We're exchanging information. Then, as oftentimes happen there, oh my God, it's Dan from Dan's Retirement Journey. I am starstruck. Dun, dun, dun. And it makes me kind of nervous when this happens. We recognize you from someplace. So anyway, once we get beyond all that, they tell me the story about how they're in town because the city tried to claim their house under eminent domain.
Yeah.
And I said, well, where's your home? It says next to the Palermo Hotel. And said, Dan, he's sitting there, and I'm going, And I'm starting to think to myself, you can't make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up. I'm constantly hearing the God voice. I'm constantly hearing the other Dan talking in this ear and that ear all the time, telling me what's going to happen next. And it's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing that I've ever had happen in my life. And then here comes this couple, and they start telling me that they're trying to take the house under eminent domain, and all I could say is make sure you negotiate for yourself a decent price. And of course, after I say that, they no longer want to talk to me because they expected me to say, oh well, you've got to fight tooth and nail in order to hang on to that beautiful home that you have there. But no, instead, all that's going through my mind is this battle cannot be won, and you have to pick your battles carefully. And this
with intimate domain, I don't know if anybody can beat that. I mean, you might be able to, but it costs you a lot of money to beat it.
That's right. And so what you do is you do your best and negotiate the best price that you possibly can.
And it better be fair market price. It's supposed to be fair market price.
Ben is saying, oh, a briefcase full of dollars. Well, actually what ends up happening is you open it and It's a laptop computer. And they go, we'd like to transfer the money to your digital account. By the way, don't visualize it as being the central government all of a sudden sending money directly to your GCash account. That is not what's going to happen. The federal government, the federal bank, the Central Bank of the Philippines, and the FDIC, the Federal Reserve, by law, cannot do business on a retail level. All they can do is do business with wholesale banks, which means that they will transfer the money to your wholesale bank, and then that bank will distribute the funds, and that's how they make money through the blockchain transaction fees. That's how they're going to be making money. That's how this thing, I do believe, is set up to work. I do believe. So, yeah. So Nitban is just Nitban. I wasn't going to share with everybody how your pupils became dilated and how you all of a sudden, man, Minnie had to hold you up because we thought you were going to pass out and hit the ground on the day that we met, the first day that
You're
we
lucky, Nitban. If I met him, they'd have to call the ambulance to revive me.
That's okay. I prop man Minnie up behind him. But I also told her, listen, if he's too heavy, let him hit the ground. Just don't let him hit it so hard, you know? We don't want to do, we don't want Nit. Yeah.
Keep his head from hitting.
Yeah, Nitban is a great subscriber. We don't need to lose him. We're not even one. All right,
Let
so
Larry
the
hit
Philippines.
the ground, but not Nitban. Save Nitban.
So Crystal's, I think Crystal said something to me, or she said something in the chat.
She said something to Nitban. She said, taken by Robin Hood and given to the poor.
Yes, and that's a great comment, because that is exactly what's going to happen. So you think you're not living in life-changing times, but you most certainly are, Crystal, because what they'll do is that central bank will transfer money over to the wholesale bank, the BPI or whatever, and the next thing you know, the money appears in your GCash account. And so now the first thing that's going to happen to you once you see it is you're going to be looking at it going, I can't believe this is actually happening. And it's going to take a while for you to get used to that, because you've worked so hard, and your husband, Mark, has worked so hard up till now.
I don't know if you saw, but Mark came in the chat for a little bit too.
Yeah, I saw him. And I just want to say that you'll probably cry buckets of tears. As a matter of fact, it makes me kind of emotional thinking about it, because relief will be coming, and a different way of life is going to be coming to the Philippines. But here's the thing. So now, Steve, you said earlier that you were disappointed by what Steve had to say.
Yeah.
And so I would like to say that I was disappointed when he said, do whatever it was that you need to do in order to get your life in order. And then I was sitting there on the couch throwing back a 40, and I was thinking to myself, well, Steve, are you going to leave me hanging? Or are you going to tell me what I need to do? What the hell are you doing, Steve? Tell me what I need to do. And does he do it? No, because Steve does not know what to do.
You're right.
And I'm pissed about that.
He was kind of like a fearmonger.
He was a fearmonger.
He's getting more that way.
Because he's losing views. His views are going down the toilet, and that's because he's no longer selling the Philippine dream. He's no longer telling people, move to the Philippines and I'll help you get an apartment for $60 per month rent.
Well, he can't tell them 60, I don't think, anymore, but he could still tell them for 100. That's still a dream. You know?
Well, there's people still getting for 60 and 70, but
yeah, I believe so.
But I'm just saying those are being taken quite a bit.
But go back, Steve. Go back to how you were born. Go back to how you made the channel so great. Go back and do that, and stay away from these complicated subjects. If you want, you call me or you PM me, and I'll be happy to help you out. But otherwise, stay away from Passport Bros and stay away from trying to project yourself as having knowledge about what's going on in the world financially otherwise. Listen, that's how I feel, and okay, so be it. So my channel goes down the toilet because I'm not telling people how poor I am and how I can help you get an apartment for $60 per month.
Well, now I'm going to tell you the truth. Steve never did say he was poor.
No, and in fact, he kind of
admitted
brags about how much he has now.
Yeah, and he hadn't even taken his Social Security yet.
Right.
But he's in. You know, when he talks about that, what's he call it? The comfort zone, the sweet spot is what he calls it.
Sweet spot budget. And you know what? I believe him or Sunshine Shoulders invented that, and they ran with it. And so now that's your forte, in my opinion. That's what you should build your channel based on. There's no need to change and then come over here and tell people how, oh, you better put your life in order because things are changing rapidly in the Philippines. That's what I do, Steve. That's what I do. And I have a few friends, Steve. I have a few friends.
But like I said, though, I mean, you know, I disagree with a sweet spot budget. I mean, but for him, that's what he needs because he's paying for his girlfriend's daughter's house, their apartment, his apartment. My understanding, he's got another apartment that he stores stuff in.
Right.
Then he sends her to college. So he needs, and then he's got a wife who lives with him and one or two kids that's actually living with him. He needs a lot more money than I do.
Yeah. And by the way, it sounds like that. It sounds to me like I don't like Steve, but as I've told you, I never miss a video.
I missed his live stream last week.
I don't participate in the live streams.
Well, I usually do. I'm usually at work.
He knows you. He knows you, and he always acknowledges you. But I'm going to tell you, in the past, whenever I've chimed in, he just totally ignores me. And so I guess it's because he comes into my channel and sees what I'm talking about. But then why all of a sudden does he want to talk about this stuff? So Steve, you open the door. So I'm just begging you, please tell people what they need to do in order to not to fix anything because nothing's broken, not at this point, but tell people what they need to do in order to prepare for what you think is going to be happening. That's all I want. That's all I want. So please do that.
Tim's asked a very interesting question.
What did he say?
He said, Dan, you have friends? What happened?
Tim has met me and we've shared a meal, and Tim knows I'm not going to go out there and kiss anybody's ass. I'm not going to go out there and kiss someone's ass for views. I'm not going to do it. Somebody actually really in Geo's live, right? Somebody calls me out on it. Dan, we know you. I don't even know who this troll was, but he comes out and says, "Oh, Dan, you know that's just your come online." And of course, I answered, "Yes, it is. I love Geo. I'm in love with Geo. I want to marry Geo."
I used to watch.
I mean, what am I going to say? What am I going to say?
I used to watch Geo, but I rarely watch him anymore. It's like I used to watch Ricky. But when he started, hanging out with that young girl, and she was in every video.
Yeah.
It turned me off. I don't mind that he was dating a young girl, but it seemed like it became more about, look who I'm dating. Look at this pretty young girl I'm with.
Well, that and he seemed like he's trying to sell everything.
Oh, yeah.
That's true. The VPN and all this other stuff. Yeah, that's true.
His coaching on how to date and
in the Philippines. Wait a minute. I need a coach on dating in the Philippines. Yeah. See, I show up. I'm polite. I'm kind. I'm considerate.
If you treat them good, you're going to be fine.
That's what I'm saying. I do these things. Maybe I'm not going out with the prettiest girl. I don't want to go out with the prettiest girl.
Too much
I don't want to
competition.
go out with a young girl. That's not what I want. I want a woman who, when I decide to start running around and dating, I want a woman who I can have a conversation about the world with, a woman who's has some life experience, and a woman who knows what life's about. It's not all like Dan and some of the others say. Uh, uh, Ned from Amazing Philippine Life or something. I can't remember. Philippine Adventure. He goes, it's not all puppy dogs and rainbows,
No.
and unicorns. It's not. And life's not that way. And so, but you get some of these young girls who've not done anything or been anywhere, they may think that, oh, I found the perfect guy. Now everything's going to be perfect.
Yeah.
It's not. Even if you're in love, you will have disagreements. There will be times that you have to work through that. Uh,
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah. A
that's
young girl
something.
doesn't realize.
An older woman. I'm not saying she has to be as old as me, but an older woman, a woman who's has some life experience, maybe has 2 or 3 kids that are out in school or out of school. Maybe she's in her 30s or 40s, but she's had some life experience. She's experienced some things, and she understands that life's not all rainbows and sunshine.
Yep.
And so that's who I would rather go out with, someone that knows more about life.
Hey, Pacquiao Mertz is up.
Hey, Pacquiao.
Hey,
And
Pacquiao, how are you?
I got to tell you, she works her ass off. I got to tell you. Speaking of telling the truth, she's one
Oh
of the.
no, lied to me.
She's one of the hardest working people that I know, and so is Filipina Raquel. In other words, I just can't.
Yeah.
I mean, it just boggles the mind. That they're doing daily live streams and keeping the machine going. And Larice, same thing. I'm thinking that they know you have to work that hard in order to get those watch hours. And by the way, since I've been doing live stream, I actually learned this from them by watching them. Since I've been doing these live streams, my watch hours and are going crazy, and so are my hits on my channel are just going nuts.
That's good.
So I mean, I'm very grateful because really they've taught me how to grow this channel.
I'm gonna have to learn how to do a live stream, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Live streaming,
well, you got to do a
Leonard,
better
is the
one than
best
I
way
do,
to get in the
Larry.
game. It's the
You gotta do
quickest
a better
way
one
to
than I
get
do.
in the
Yours are
game.
good, Larry. I'm sorry, Dan.
Mine
What
are
was that?
fun, but they don't get the hits that Dan's gets. Okay.
Leonard, this is the way that you do it. I totally see a successful YouTube channel doing live stream for both yourself and for Larry. All you guys have to do is just stay with it. That's all. You just do it and stay with it. Sir Luke is brilliant. Sir Luke is brilliant. When Sir Luke when he gets with Pacquiao Mertz and they work together in order to do like the duck races and the bingo, I mean, they're getting tremendous amounts of hits. They get tremendous amounts of play. And so I feel guilty because I've been thinking, you know what, doggone it, I need to contact Pacquiao Mertz. I need to convince her to do duck races for me, but I can't. It's not because I'd be taking away her collaborative efforts because she only has so much time in the day, So there's only so much time in the day, that she could work, and then I would feel guilty because she'd be up till 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, doing collaborations with people. So I worry about asking people to help me that way.
Well, like I said, I myself like what we're doing, and I like other people coming up and just talking. I don't know if you saw what I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm going to talk a little bit about keeping your personal information
she says,
safe.
She's killing me, right? She says, Sir Dan, I can do it. Okay, we're going to do it, girlfriend. We're going to do it. I'm going to tell you something about Pacquiao Mertz. I'm going to tell you something, right? When you meet her, or which we have, right? You just see this beautiful spirit, this beautiful human being. And I want to tell you, she glows like no other person I have ever met. She is like a glowworm. When she walks into, when you see her, even from a distance, she has a glowing, it's hard to describe it. It's just like this huge glow, that you look at her and then you go, oh, I need that person in my life. I need that person in my life. One of the most positive thinking people that I've ever met. And both a beautiful person inside and out, body and soul. And it just comes through and shines for everyone to see. She says, let's go, Sir Dan, play bingo and duck races. Yeah, I like those. I like it. I had fun. I went in her channel and I liked it. I liked she assigned a duck to me and here we were.
I've been in her channel and had a couple of ducks assigned to me. Well, when I was in the Navy in San Diego, I had a civilian job on base. I worked at the Enlisted Men's Club, and every Monday we have bingo, and I usually work Monday night, so you'd always hear under the eye 35, under the end 10. But I mean, it was a different crowd than the normal crowd. It was more women and older guys. They'd come in. You didn't have the young guys off the ships unless, like I said, unless they were a couple, because that was something they could do as a couple. But,
yes, it's brilliant. Oh my gosh, I need.
Yeah, but Filipino.
Oh yeah. So here's Filipina saying, "I don't like bingo. It's gambling. I love the duck race better." Yeah,
but that's gambling too, though. It's gambling too.
Yeah, but Filipina Raquel, I've been in a casino or now and again. As a matter of fact, if you go back in some of my YouTube videos, I'm there pulling the one-armed bandit as quick as I can back in Sacramento, California. I said they're cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. I just like the sound. I don't care about winning. I just like the sound the machine makes.
When I was overseas, the bases, a lot of the enlisted men's clubs, we had one-armed bandits in the clubs. And so, yeah, I played the one-armed bandits quite a bit overseas. Probably more than I should, but
I mean, I like it. What can I say?
I won more money than I lost. I'll say that about it. But that's because, it's not a skill game. It's just luck. But I won more money than I lost. Not a lot more, but I won more. I was winning one night, and my friend Chris, he wanted to go back to the ship. So I handed him a bunch of money and said, take that back so I wouldn't gamble it. I woke up the next day, and in my pocket, I had more money than I gave him to take back for me. So I had a few jackpots.
Oh, but Filipino Raquel, I know this story because it happened to me. Because remember, I don't know if you've ever heard me tell a story, but I worked at the Desert Inn Hotel, Las Vegas, Nevada, and also at the Stardust. And I'll tell you, when they called me into the office one time, and then they played the tape of me being in the casino, and they gave me the letter. It says, Dan, we noticed that once you get paid, you go downstairs to the casino cashier, you cash your check, and you hit the machine. And then we have a rule about that here, that you can't do that. You can't go straight from the paycheck to the casino cashier and then hit the machine. So here's your letter. You get 3 opportunities to knock it off. This is your first warning. And they made me sign a letter. I signed it. Well, guess what? After about 4 or 6 weeks, I no longer work there. And the last letter, guess what was attached to it?
You're no longer employed? Your last
the last letter, it said, here's the referral to Gamblers Anonymous.
I got Filipina Raquel said she lost a lot of money.
Yeah.
I don't know if she was gambling or what, but my oldest sister, who's 10 years older than I am, her thing is, unless she's guaranteed to win, she's not going to play. So she never gambles because she don't believe in losing money.
Right.
Because why should I give you the money? I'll keep it in my pocket.
Yeah, that's what Filipina Raquel says, right?
No, she says she
Speaker in your
enjoys playing, but she don't like losing. I
well,
look.
I go in there now. I was able to cure my habit, and the way is I go in there and I have 1,000 pesos, and once 1,000 pesos is gone, I have no more money to spend. So
That's the
that's
only way
just
to
the way.
gamble.
Yeah,
What you got to do is you got to look at your money and say, all right, I can afford to lose this.
right. That's
Now, if
right.
you
And that's
walk
what
out
I
of
do.
there after all night, and you spend hours in there, and you walk out broke, you had fun. You broke even, or you won. Now, if you walk out of there after an hour, you lost. I'm sorry, you lost.
Exactly.
But if you quit,
So
you're not behind because you were willing to lose that money.
so
And
here's
that's the way
what
I try to gamble.
I
I
was
try
going to
to.
talk about, and I realize this is out of the realm. This is out of the reach of most Filipinos and Filipinas. So I do apologize. But getting back to Steve, you can't come to the party fear mongering and then now not be willing to tell people how you solve your problem or how you prepare for the coming global superstorm or
Or
the financial downturn. You know,
at least
Right.
give some guidance on it. You know.
Yeah.
right? Tell us what to do. And so,
So,
even if it's only a sentence or two,
yeah, well, like I said, all right. He says you got to do what you got to do. In other
what is
words,
that? I don't even know what it is.
that's what I'm saying. Say, hey, look, if you're really far in debt, start digging your way out. Try to save money. If you got money, start looking where to put it. Start finding safe investments. Buy some property. Something
But
like
hey,
that.
I do know this. I know that Steve takes criticism very well because he said on his channel a couple of times, everybody's entitled to their opinion, and I don't. I'm not. I don't get upset by anybody who shares their opinion, and so I appreciate that. And also, I did say that I try never to miss any of his videos that come out. I try never to miss them because he has some very, very important information to share with the expat community. And if you want to know the way that an expat living in the Philippines thinks, Filipinas, especially if you're single, go into Steve's channel, and every now and again he'll talk about relationships, and he'll share things that have happened that he's observed, and those are invaluable. That information is invaluable and actually would help you in order to understand how some Westerners think. So I encourage you, if you're not signed up, go in there and subscribe and watch
Or at
his
least just go.
videos.
He should have a live stream tomorrow. Uh, Now he does it nighttime in the Philippines.
Yeah. So it's
He
early
starts. It
morning here.
starts around 9 o'clock at night, I believe, in the Philippines. So go in and just check out the live stream. You'll be able. You'll see. If I'm not too busy tomorrow at work, I'll be there. If he's doing it, because sometimes he doesn't do it because he doesn't have. You know how it is in the Philippines. He may not have internet, or sometimes he'll take the weekend off, and him and his wife excuse me, his girlfriend and her and family will go somewhere for the weekend. But usually it's every Saturday. I want to say it's at 9 o'clock, 9:30, something like that. And you will see a lot of times Leonard's there, I'm there. There's some others, and you can listen. And if you want, just type in a question, and he usually tries to answer them. Uh, uh, and when he sees your name, if he doesn't recognize you, he may ask you if you're a Filipino. Now, he'll get to your question a little later. He's not as quick as Dan on keeping up with the questions. And as you can see, Dan's a little behind sometimes.
Yeah,
I'm just saying it's true. We get
I'm
behind.
always
Amen.
behind.
But Steve will
Always
even get farther
behind.
behind sometimes. And he has one moderator, and he does not give out jackets. So, but usually has one moderator working, and you can type in your question and say, "Hey, look, I'm a I live such and such place, and I'm just here to learn what I can about whatever you're interested in learning about, whether it's about the foreign men or maybe a different area to live, uh, or you can just stay in the background and listen to read what people put in and how he answers it, and do it for a
Yeah,
few minutes before you even answer.
hey, you know something, Tim? Tim is saying about being the opposite of most expats or tourists in my area. I just don't go to the clubs and flashing cash. I don't know
That's the
many of
best way to
them.
be.
Yeah, I don't know many of them that live there permanently. I mean, it's kind of like after a while, if you know that candy store is there, do you think about going and buying candy most of the time? Most of the time, you just forget that it's there because you can get candy there anytime you want. So you kind of
Uh,
forget about it. But listen, let's
that's a
talk
good
about the
analogy.
candy. Can we talk about the candy that is known as the Walking Street in Angelo City? Things are things are changing there. It is not people aren't walking down the street um, spending money like it's going out of style. Not like the olden days. It's not like when the military was there, but it may return back to its former self now that the military is coming back to Subic and
I
and
hope not. I hope it
and
doesn't. I
Clark.
really don't.
And so there may be boom times coming again for Angelo City. But if I was there, what, 6 months ago or so, it's not like that. In other words, people aren't going down the street. The girls
Well,
there are back in the old days that it was a good place to meet um, your spouse. And one reason why was because the girls would get this idea. The girls living in the province would get this idea that I know I'll go to Angelo City and I'll make money working in the bars, and I'll be able to send it home to my family. And so every week coming in there is some new girl from the province. So I knew guys that would be waiting there on the walking street, and as soon as they found a target saying, "Oh, I've never seen her before," they would be going up there and talking to her, saying, "Hey, um, what's your story?" And they would say, "Oh, I'm from Palawan, I'm from Leyte, I'm from here, I'm from there, and this is my first day there." And as soon as they'd say that, they'd be like moving in, saying, "Hey, I'm looking for a wife, I'm looking for a relationship long term. If I promise to support you, will you stay out of the clubs?" And they'll say 9 times out of 10, yes. You know, and
I'm going to tell you something else, Dan, about the girls from the province.
yeah, do
Sometimes
tell me,
it's
but don't lie, okay?
all right. All right. I'm not going to lie. So in other words, I'm going to lie. But anyway, but anyway, sometimes it's the parents that in the really poor province with a really lower education. Back when I was in the service, sometimes it was the parents that kind of pushed the girl to go because she could make more money than a school teacher back in
Yeah,
those days.
yeah, Filipino Raquel. That's what we do. We go there. We go bar hopping, Mamini and I, and we go to the disco and enjoy ourselves. And we meet people from all over the world, and that of course is the main objective. And so you can have a hell of a good time there. But it's not a place. It's not a place that if I were to live there, right? I'm not going to the walking street every night of the week, 7 days a
Well,
week.
I'm not going there looking for a girlfriend. I'm going to tell
Yeah,
you that
most
right.
time you're going there. Yeah, you wouldn't do it now anyway. So
I wouldn't do it when I was there.
well, you know what?
I
There
mean,
was opportunity on the walking street. I could tell you that.
oh,
I've
no,
had
I'm not. I said
I've
a
had many,
girlfriend.
many,
I
many,
didn't
many
say.
girlfriends, many,
I
many
didn't,
girlfriends from Angelo City over the years. I am not going to lie to you, Larry.
no, I'm not lying to you. One night stands don't equate to girlfriends. Okay,
Yeah.
short term does not. Long term equates to girlfriends.
Yeah, I don't know the difference.
Like I said, I do. I mean, but you don't go to those bars.
Yeah.
To me, if you're talking, she's your girlfriend. To me, that means it's
Yeah.
a possible permanent relationship. You're
Oh,
looking to you're looking to expand upon just going out, and
hey,
uh,
Filipina
that's to
Filipina
me.
Raquel's right about this. If I go bar hopping, I need a man with me. I cannot go bar hopping, Sir Dan. Well, here's the thing. If you're interested in going bar hopping with Mam Minnie and I, that's exactly what we'll be doing when we're in there in May. And
Yeah,
so if we end up getting together in May, then I will escort you and Mam Minnie to the disco and we'll have a great time.
yeah, you're right. She's right. I mean, because if she goes in there by herself or with
Right.
just another woman,
Exactly.
they're going
Exactly.
to
It's
be
just
hitting on them real hard.
yeah, they
Yep.
think
Uh,
nefarious stuff is going on when all you're there is just to
Yep.
simply have fun.
yeah. And like I said, I mean, I'm not saying I did not partake in that, but I said I don't call that a girlfriend.
Yeah.
A girl, a girlfriend
If
is
you're
someone
if
you're
you're a
looking to have a
single
more serious
man,
relationship.
here's my life before I met Mam Minnie. So here's my life before I met Mam Minnie, and that was that I would go 3 times a year to the Philippines, and I would plant my butt either in Angela City, somewhere in a hotel close to Walking Street, or I'd be in Cebu, and that was my life for about 10 or 12 years.
I'm going to tell you the truth. If I was to go to the Philippines 20 years ago, even, all right, I would not go to Angela City.
Right.
Subic maybe only because of the nostalgia, from being stationed there.
Yeah,
But
you
I'm
got to
more
go to
than likely-
Subic
I'm
to see how
more than
things have
likely-
changed.
Yeah, like I said, that would be the nostalgic reason.
Yeah.
I would more than likely want to go to the places that I didn't see, the real Philippines. Because when I was there, I was military, so I saw the military base scene,
Right.
which
Right.
I can't remember. I think it was on World Zoom they were talking about the base scene, where a lot of people, that's
Ooh.
all they ever see in the movies and stuff. You walk off the base and there's walking girls and there's bars and there's tattoo parlors. Well, that was all there. But
Wow.
I worked with enough Filipinos that I knew not all the Filipinos were that way. They had
Filipino Raquel, you're saying there's a disco in the Makati Royal Club. Can you get us in? Can you get us in on the cheap? That sounds like a better idea.
She said she's
Yeah.
a VIP member.
She's a
Yeah.
VIP member. She ought to be.
I mean,
able
that would be fantastic. That would be great. And by the way, I did a lot of
Exactly.
matchmaking. I did a lot of matchmaking back in the day, and so I have friends in California that are married to
He's got
Filipinos.
friends in low places.
Yeah, that I was responsible for hooking up. So, so
Country
listen,
Western song. I have
it
friends.
took
in
me
low
10
places.
or 12 years to get my act together, but eventually Mam Minnie and I ended up together. But okay, so now,
It took me a few years, and I'm still trying to work on it. I
yeah.
can't say I'm not completely together.
Tim says he hasn't been in the clubs in over 10 years. But when I look at Tim, I don't define him by being a party animal. When I met Tim, I didn't see party animal. I just saw average guy,
Yeah.
If
All right,
you're
so-
talking about the bar scene of drink, Tim, it's probably been almost 20 years for me to go in the bar and drinking. Now, I have been to the bar and had Cokes. And the last time I did that was probably last year. A friend of mine runs the American Legion. It was one of my best friends from my junior high and high school days. He was a Marine, I was sailor, but we were always good friends. And him and his wife
Oh,
kind of run that club. So I go in there. and have
Leonard's
fun.
giving us the yawn. You know what that means. Hey,
It's close to two.
It
It's over
doesn't
2
mean
hours.
anything.
what I want to say. So listen, let's leave this live stream off. To come back on Monday. But I just wanted to say that, or we'll see you tomorrow on yours, Larry, or
All right.
today.
I hope to see
Is
you
tomorrow
all.
today? Is tomorrow today
For
or
you,
today's?
for you is today. No,
It's tomorrow. For me, it's tomorrow.
no. Yeah, for you tomorrow and for me tomorrow.
Oh, okay. What time is it there?
It's just a little after 10 o'clock.
Oh, so it's still early.
Yeah.
All right. Oh no, I knew. Listen, Nitban is saying, Dan, I can be a party animal. No, I figured that, Nitban. I figured that you play as hard as you work. All right, so we're gonna. But listen, Nitban, we're gonna be hooking up again. You know that we will be, and so we'll have a chance to explore that side of you. In the meantime, I want to lead off by saying, what do Filipinos do in order to mitigate any changes that may be happening in the global economy? Well, number one, you grow your own food. And when I said that to these brainiacs the other night, they just laughed at me. They said, nobody's going to grow their own food. I go, I beg to differ with you. I'm growing my own food, and I have enough money. Yeah, I mean, that's the point, I guess, that they were trying to make. That's the difference, right? So
Yeah.
grow your own food. And the other thing is, I'm stockpiling. You have to save some money, and it's okay to save it in Filipino pesos.
If you're going to stay in the Philippines, it's probably best to save it. Because if
Exactly.
there's
It's
that big
best to
fluctuation,
save it.
you're expecting
Right.
the dollar to take a hit.
Right.
Get that big change right now.
Get that money changed. And the other thing, the last thing, so this is like a three-pronged approach, according to Dan. So I'm not leaving you hang like Steve did. It would be the same if I were in the U.S. I'd be getting my money out of U.S. dollars, putting it somewhere else. And so it would be in Filipino pesos because that's where I'm at. And so growing food, and number 3, silver. I'm buying silver and I'm taking delivery of physical silver. Now I realize this is out of reach for most Filipinos, especially because they regulate precious metals here in the Philippines very, very strictly. And so what you do is you do what you can out of those 3. Number 1 is grow food. Number 2, put a peso or 2 aside every chance you get, and you'll be okay, because it's not going to happen in such a horrible way, not the way that it's going to impact the United States. So if you're an expat and you're listening, if you're an expat, guess what? You do the same exact thing. So there
your bills
you
paid
have
off.
it. Yeah, there you have it. Exactly. Get your debt paid off as quickly as possible and start storing money. Start putting it away in precious metals if you can, and convert it over to Philippine pesos.
Now, Dan, I got a question for you. I just did
I'll
ask you tomorrow if I remember.
Yeah, right? We'll talk about it tomorrow. Tomorrow's another day. Thanks so much,
thanks
everybody. The winner. Who's the winner? Winner chicken dinner of today's live for coffee and donuts with Dan. I believe it is Zendi Papa. Please make sure that you send me your GCash account number so that I could send you 100 pesos so you can enjoy donut and coffee with Dan. And if you're anywhere near me, I'll meet you over at the Dunkin', because that's where Mammy and I are headed right now. Thanks so much for everybody attending the live stream. Larry and Leonard, I appreciate you so much. We're like a team now. We're like regulars. We don't always agree. We don't always agree on everything.
That's good.
That's good. Yeah. That's what keeps it alive.
We always have fun.
That's right. We always have fun. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend, a great Holy Week. You guys, we'll see you tomorrow on Larry's live stream. Bye.
Bye. Thanks again.
Thank you.